On the news, Kano State government orders demolition of Bayero's palace despite court ruling. Governor Fubara says Rivers stayed at peace despite political unrest in the state. And WHO announces global resurgence of cholera as Nigeria struggles to contain spread. Many thanks for joining us on News Now on TV 360 Nigeria. I'm Tamilore Akinkolie. The Kano State government has ordered the demolition of a section of the palace of the deposed Emir of Kano, Ado Bayero. This comes shortly after Thursday's Federal High Court ruling setting aside the steps taken in repealing the Kano Emirates Council law. Briefing journalists on Thursday in Kano, the State Attorney General Aruna Issa Dederi said the state government has directed the police to take over the Emir's palace in Nasarawa local government. He stated that the state government has concluded arrangement for the general reconstruction and renovation of the palace.
The Kano State government has directed the State Commissioner of Police to remove the deposed emir of the 8 metropolitan local government areas from the government property where he is trespassing, as government has already concluded arrangements for the general reconstruction and renovation of the property, including the demolition and reconstruction of the dilapidated wall fence with immediate effect.
And for further legal clarification on the emirship tussle in Kano State, earlier on I spoke with legal practitioner Evan Tufeli, and I began by asking him which legal authority has the final say between the Federal High Court and the state government in matters involving traditional institutions in Nigeria.
According to Section 46, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution, which says that if anyone feels that his right has been, is being, and likely to be breached, that person can approach the High Court. Now, the High Court in that context is the State High Court or the Federal High Court in terms of fundamental rights enforcement matters. Okay? So he went to enforce his fundamental rights. So that's why he went to the Federal High Court. How be it that the subject matter is on traditional stool and kingship? I don't know that you understand this. On the scale of things, ordinarily, traditional stool, kingship, and the headship of communities, the state high court have jurisdiction. But in the case of Kano, the man who was aggrieved went to court to enforce his fundamental rights. Under the law, Section 46 of the 1999 Constitution says if your right has been, is being, or likely to be breached, you have a right to approach the High Court. The High Court in this in terms of fundamental right means the State High Court or the Federal High Court.
All right, so Mr. Evans, what are the potential legal consequences for Kano State government if it proceeds with actions that contradict the Federal High Court's ruling?
Yeah, the consequences is where we are already. You know, when the current governor of Kano State reappointed Sanusi, okay, and that party went to court. The guy obtained an interim injunction restraining the government of Kano State from implementing the new emirate laws of Kano State and for implementing the appointment of Sanusi. The court did not stop the appointment. The court did not stop the law at that time. But the court said that because there's a restraining order, because there's a motion already and somebody has obtained a restraining order, hold on, don't implement, don't execute. You have appointed, fine, but Sanusi should not start execution. It should not resume office. That's what it means. It should not begin to administer. It should not begin to, there should not even be any form of coronation or whatsoever. But the state jumped that and coronated Sanusi. Sanusi resumed office and Bayero was deposed. Okay, Ado Bayero was deposed in that sense. So the court now had to rule on the substantive suit, the judgment yesterday, and said that because the state government disobeyed the order of the court based on that interim order issued before now, the courts have now upon and declare as invalid the appointment, the implementation, and the law itself, and ask parties to maintain the status quo.
All right, lastly, before I let you go now, in cases of conflicting rulings, just like this one between the state and the federal courts, what is the process for determining which ruling takes precedence?
Where you have two rulings on the same issue, the same subject matter, it is an anomaly. It's abnormal for you to have that. It happens in our jurisdiction because sometimes when a case has been filed in a particular court and it's been determined, some other persons go to another court to file another case that this court is not even aware of the other one. And this gives another, and sometimes the peculiarities of the case also and the angle through which the parties bring the case to the court also play a role. Sometimes you get a contradiction, okay? But now the Federal High Court and the courts in Nigeria have made it clear that when parties file suit, they must file what we call another document that will evidence that they have not filed the case somewhere else.
Meanwhile, the decision by the Federal High Court has been welcomed by the National Coalition of Northern Lawyers and Public Interest Activists. At a press conference on Friday, the convener Napoleon Otache praised the court for upholding the rule of law and protecting the sanctity of traditional institutions. The group also called on Governor Yusuf to issue an apology to Emir Ado Bayero for the humiliation and hardship caused by the unlawful dissolution of the Kano Emirates.
Even though it was not the purpose for which he occupied office, he is welcome to continue with the imaginary war he is waging on his perceived enemies. But this particular battle on the Emirate issue is one he must acknowledge is a lost battle. As a governor, executive governor of a state, his primary mandate is to ensure security of the state, peace and security. But when we see a governor throwing caution to the wind, so as to achieve a narrow end, that portends danger for democracy, not only in Kano State, but for Nigeria. Just like I have said earlier, Kano is a mini Nigeria. We consequently call on the Kano State government not to waste the taxpayers' resources on frivolous appeals, but to continue to work with the Emir Ado Bayero as the duly recognized Emir of Kano Emirate Council, with his full official paraphernalia of office in the interest of peace and in accordance with the order of the court. We make this call knowing that all other pending legal challenges on the matter would naturally align with the Federal High Court ruling. Rule of law is better than rule of men. If we subject ourselves to rule of men, then it's an invitation to anarchy. And when the anarchy ensues, we may all be consumed. Even the so-called the protected high may not be immune when it happens. God forbid, we see the other way of it. Our coalition further demands that all parties should commit to peace, even as we ask that Governor Yusuf apologize to all the concerned for the mental torture, anguish, harm, degrading treatment that the Emir Alhaji Ado Bayero has been subjected to.
Now in Rivers State, the state governor Siminalayi Fubara has said that the state is peaceful and safe despite the recent security concerns over the administration of local government areas. He made a remark during a visit to Omoma local government area where 2 security operatives were killed and the political crisis. The governor's assurance comes on the heels of a directive from the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, for the continuation of the police barricade on local government secretariats in Rivers State to prevent a breakdown of law and order.
We were in Omoma to inspect a project that we started. The project was supposed to be part of our 1-year anniversary project, but we found out that some part of the job, if completed, will link Rivers State to Abia State, and we felt there was no need to commission it halfway without joining that part that connects us to Abia. So we directed the Ministry of Works to extend the project from 8 kilometers to 14.6 kilometers. So we're here to see what is happening and to prepare ourselves that maybe in the next 2 months we might likely be coming here to commission this project for the good people of Amoma. That's why we're here. And to also tell Nigerian that River State is peaceful. You can see we're moving about inspecting as against what you see on the screens of your television, that police is everywhere, that we don't move about anymore, that River State is under siege. We're not under siege. The state is free. And if at all there is any problem in the state, I know quite well that Nigerians know where the problem is coming from, not from us. We are peace-loving people. It is already written all over us. Our action and our deeds have confirmed that we are peace-loving people. We'll continue to maintain the peace like we promise everyone for the betterment of the good people of River State.
The World Health Organization (WHO) has reported a significant global increase in cholera cases, with approximately 195,000 cases and over 1,900 deaths recorded across 24 countries since the start of the year. The Eastern Mediterranean region has been hit hardest, followed by Africa, South America, Southeast Asia, and Europe. The Western region notably has reported no cases. Now, this global trend is reflected in Nigeria, where the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention (NCDC) has said that there is a concerned outbreak of cholera. According to NCDC's report, Nigeria has recorded 882 suspected cholera cases and 16 deaths, resulting in a case fatality ratio of 1.9% as early June 2024. Lagos State, particularly the Lagos Island, has been a focal point in the outbreak. And the Police Service Commission (PSC) has issued a challenge to the Nigeria Police Force (NPF) to provide verifiable evidence supporting allegations against the Commission regarding the recruitment of constables. In a statement on Friday, PSC spokesperson Ikechukwu Ani criticized the NPF for not respecting the Commission's mandate to recruit police personnel. This follows the NPF's rejection on June 15 of a list of 10,000 successful applicants for constable and specialist cadet roles released by the PSC on June the 4th. Responding to the allegations, the Joint Union Congress of the PSC accused the police of attempting to compromise the recruitment process and called for the dismissal of Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun. Ani, however, expressed the Commission's disturbance over the abuse of the Supreme Court's judgment, which reaffirmed the PSC's constitutional mandate. Into election matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has issued a warning against denying political parties access to public facilities ahead of the upcoming governorship elections in Edo and Ondo states. In a statement on Friday, Sam Olumekun, INEC's National Commissioner and Chairman of Information and Voters Education Committee, emphasized that it is illegal to prevent parties and candidates from using public facilities for their campaigns. INEC has urged all stakeholders to consult the Commission's website for guidelines on the conduct of political rallies, processions, and campaigns. In a collaborative effort, the Interagency Youth Group of the United Nations, the Network of Youth for Sustainable Initiatives, and the Ministry of Youth Development have organized a forum to provide young Nigerians with a platform to discuss and address their priorities for the upcoming United Nations Summit in September. During the event, Jamila Ibrahim, the Minister of Youth Development, reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to institutionalizing a 30% youth quota to combat youth exclusion in decision-making processes across the country. Our correspondent Emeka Mako reports from the Summit of the Future in Abuja.
Nigeria's youth, comprising over 60% of its population, represents the country's most valuable asset and its hope for a brighter future. Despite their significant numbers, young people often feel marginalized, facing stark challenges such as poverty, unemployment, limited educational opportunities, and poor health conditions. To create a path towards a sustainable and prosperous Nigeria led by its youth, this forum was organized as a collaborative effort by the Interagency Youth Group of the United Nations.
By harnessing the power of technology, fostering entrepreneurship, and championing education and skills development, we can create a vibrant ecosystem where every young Nigerian can thrive, which is the vision of the Federal Ministry of Youth Development. We must also prioritize inclusivity, ensuring that our initiatives benefit every segment of society, including marginalized and vulnerable groups.
Go to the northeast and go to the northwest. You will find very clearly that the grave sites of most of our men is actually very huge. If we deploy technology, we would have to deploy lesser number of personnel. It therefore means that we will have lesser number of fatalities that we actually experience out there.
Participants at the summit believe it will strengthen global governance and expedite the implementation of commitments, especially those outlined in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development.
This national consultation is very important for Nigerian youth to lend their voice to their peers in Africa and also globally, so that when the summit of the future is held later this year, at least Nigeria's voice will be heard.
For us to be able to enhance the potentials of young people in Nigeria and reap demographic dividends, it is important that there is a multi-sectoral and intersectoral collaboration for us to be able to achieve the SDGs in Nigeria.
To address current and future challenges, a comprehensive societal approach is needed to reshape the multilateral system.
We have a very big component of our program which is dedicated to providing those services to the youth, making the services available, making the strengthening in coordination with the Ministry of Health and also with the Ministry of Youth and Development to really make available the services for the youth.
The problems, the challenges that the youth are facing day to day, one ministry alone cannot address them. So we need an interministerial approach. And because of that, we have a huge collaboration with other sister ministries, especially the Ministry of Youth Development, and we are working in that direction. And we cannot do it also at government level only. We need to also work with all the UN agencies that are working in the field of youth.
Nigerian youth face numerous challenges, often compounded by government neglect. Developed countries and international organizations can take inspiration from the United Nations by playing a significant role in supporting and guiding Nigerian youth.
It's time for a break, but still to come, DMO says Nigeria's debt stock is 121 trillion naira. Details of the story after this break.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On Digi 360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians have said in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
Digi 360, dissecting the issues.
Welcome back. Now, here's a recap of our top stories. The Kano state government has ordered the demolition of a portion of the palace belonging to the deposed Emir of Kano, Ado Bayero, following a recent Federal High Court ruling that invalidated steps taken to repeal the Kano Emirates Council law. State Attorney General Aruna Isadediri announced on Thursday that the government has instructed the police to take control of the Emir's palace in Nasarawa local government. Now, despite court ruling disputing Senesi's status as Emir, Dederi affirmed that the state government maintains Senesi as the Emir of Kano and continues to uphold the dissolution of the 5 emirates by the State House of Assembly. We also told you that the governor, Similai Fubara of Rivers State, has reassured the public that despite recent security concerns surrounding the administration of local government areas, the state remains peaceful and safe. The governor's statement follows a directive from Inspector General of Police Kaide Egbetokun to maintain police barricades at local government secretariats across Rivers State, aimed at preventing any potential disruption to law and order. He said there are ongoing efforts to address and resolve any challenges within the local government administrations to ensure stability across the state. Now, in case you missed any of the news bulletin or for more updates, you can catch us on Lime's World TV and AVO TV. Or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platform on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. Now, let's give you more stories from the world of business. Joy Uche Jim has the latest. What's happening, Joy?
Thank you, Tamilore, and welcome to Business News. The Debt Management Office says Nigeria's total public debt stock hit 121.67 trillion naira in March. The Director General of the DMO, Patience Oniha, said this in a statement on Friday in Abuja. Oniha said that the debt stock comprised the total external and domestic debt of the federal government and 36 state governments and the Federal Capital Territory. According to her, as of March, the total domestic debt was 65.65 trillion naira, while the total external debt was 56.0 trillion naira. She said the increase in the total debt stock was informed by growth in the domestic component of the debt to bridge the deficit in the 2024 budget and instability in the foreign exchange market during the first quarter. Still on business, the planned arraignment of FX Commodity Exchange and several of its principal officers before a federal high court in Lagos over alleged contempt of court did not proceed as scheduled. The defendant challenged the court's jurisdiction to hear the case. This was due to their alleged disobedience of a court order permitting a New Generation Bank to seize FX funds and assets over an unpaid loan of 17.808 billion naira. During the resumed hearing on Thursday, Ade Adedeji represented the plaintiff, while Wale Olawoyin led the defense team. Olawoyin argued that the court must resolve the jurisdiction issue before proceeding with the contempt charges and that the defendant need not be physically present until this is addressed. We'll take a short break and be back with stock market reports. Welcome back. The Nigeria equities market closed the fifth weekday of trading in the bears, losing by a small 0.01%, with the all-share index just about 99.842%. In the aggregate, the market also had a very low run, as a lot of the equities had a very bad bearish trade today. And leading the losers, we had NEM Insurance, which closed at 7 naira 90 kobo. That's a 12% loss. And we also have the Multiverse, which closed at 11 naira 20 kobo. Now, at the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, about 617 million volumes of shares were exchanged and 9,273 deals, equating to a market value of about 11 billion naira. That's a very low loss for the NGX. And on to the global market, we have the FTSE, the US Dow Jones, and the Japan's Nikkei all having a bearish trade, but the US Dow Jones managed to keep its head above water to close at 0.057%. Now, let's take a quick look at our foreign exchange markets. The US dollar traded at 1,483 naira and on the official market, and the euros traded at 1,519 naira, while the Great British pounds traded at 1,818 naira. That's the both business and stock market reports. Back to you, Tammy, for the rest of the news.
Thank you for that update, Joy. Now, on the global scene, a top Namibian court has struck down colonial-era laws criminalizing same-sex relationships, a move celebrated as historic by human rights group. The High Court in the capital city declared the offenses of sodomy and unnatural sexual offenses unconstitutional and invalid, following a case initiated by a local LGBTQ activist. These laws, dating back to 1927 and inherited from Namibia's colonial past, were rarely enforced but remained in place after the country gained independence from South Africa in 1990. The court's ruling, supported by the London-based Human Dignity Trust, has been hailed as a significant step in ending stigma and discrimination against LGBTQ individuals in Namibia. Now, still on the foreign scene, in Nairobi, Kenya, a man tragically lost his life on the sidelines of large-scale protests against proposed tax increases, as confirmed by police on Friday. The demonstrations, which occurred a day earlier, also resulted in injuries to 200 people, according to reports. A police watchdog agency has launched an investigation into allegations that the man was fatally shot by police following Thursday's protest, marking the second such incident in the capital this week. Spearheaded predominantly by young Kenyans, the protests initially began in Nairobi on Tuesday and quickly spread across the country. While Thursday's demonstration in Nairobi were largely peaceful, law enforcement deployed tear gas and water cannons throughout the day in effort to disperse crowds gathered near the Parliament building. And on sport, in a significant move towards gender equality in sport, Denmark's male footballers have declined the salary increase for playing on the national team to ensure their female counterparts receive equal basic pay. According to Players Union spokesperson Magnus Ivdi, this decision aimed at improving the conditions for the women's team has resulted in the same basic salary and better insurance coverage for both teams, along with identical match bonuses for away games. However, despite this progress, disparities remain as the current agreement does not include bonuses for home matches, leaving an overall pay gap between the women's and men's national teams. The Danish Football Federation and the unions have committed to bringing forward negotiation for a new deal for the women's team after the summer break to address this remaining issue. And that wraps up our bulletin on News Now. Many thanks for watching. I'm Tamilore Akinkwole. See you again next time.